Today is day 0 of my journey to cultivate and romanticize my personal style as a woman now in her early 30s. But before I even begin this journey, before I buy a single item, before I donate anything in my wardrobe, I want to take the time to really hone in on what it is I want to change about my style right now and what it is I'm kind of moving towards. And I'm going to do this by creating a style archetype. Essentially this kind of style character or guideline that I can come back to time and time again as I go on this journey. The intention behind this is to essentially create a bit of a roadmap and really a rule book so I can prevent myself from falling for trends, for just indulging in too much fast fashion, and making sure I'm not doing any impulse shopping or purchases. And generally, this journey is about cultivating a wardrobe and a style that is really a long-term investment and hopefully something that will carry me through my 30s and who I am as a person right now. So why am I doing this? Frankly, I just feel really ready for a change. I'm at this point where I'm about to turn 32, which for me is like a big year. I'm thinking of season 1, Carrie Bradshaw in Sex and the City. Season 1, Lorelai Gilmore in Gilmore Girls. I've been looking up to these women since I was a child, and now I am reaching their age, 32, season 1. I'm in this next era of my life that really feels like a little bit of a marker into true adulthood and womanhood. A little cheesy, but there it is. Frankly, I'm just feeling really ready to let go of a lot of things from my 20s that just aren't serving me anymore. Ideas that are wrapped up in old identities and just accepting that change. I really want to create a style that for me feels really effortless, comfortable, and makes me feel really confident because personal style is transformative. It is not shallow. It is an extension of ourselves and it helps us navigate life, really. And I think many of us kind of arrive at this point at some point or another in our lives, this kind of juncture where we feel a bit lost, whether our bodies have changed or we've just changed. And so, yeah, I want to go on this journey really mindfully. I'm going to create this style archetype. I'm going to show you how I do this so you can consider doing the same if you're at a similar point or you just want to have some fun, just really deciding what your style is. All right, so let's get into it. Step 1 in this process is you are going to find keywords in 5 different categories. Those categories are physical feeling, energy, look, practical needs, and don'ts. And I'm going to get into what that means in a moment. But kind of before you do that and are ready to sit down with your list, I want you to start paying close attention. When you try on something in a change room, what is it about the item you have that you either have this reaction where you love it and the first thing you want to do is when you get home is you want to put it on, or you feel like there's something off? Because I think a lot of the time we are in a change room and we're like, I could make this work. There's a lot of elements I like that I could, but you bring it home, you try, and then it just doesn't end up working. And then you end up donating the item. What is it about that item that just didn't work for you? You want to find a word for it in some of these categories, which I'll get into in a second. So just start to pay really close attention. Pay attention to how items feel on you, both physically, like the fabric, and how you feel going out in public. Does it make you feel comfortable and confident, or do you feel like it's kind of performative? For example, I love witches and witchy styles. And in my 20s, I was getting really into that vibe, but it never clicked for me and it never felt fully right. It always felt just a little costumey for me. So I've been on this journey of letting go of all those black items I have in my closet very slowly. And I've just started to notice, there was this kind of performative element to it. So notice, and pay attention. Also, start to gather inspiration, but don't gather pictures of things that you just feel kind of I could make that work. Ooh, I kind of like that. Start to use Pinterest, for example, to pin hairstyles, pin makeup styles, pin clothing that just makes your heart soar. There are some looks that I just come back to time and time again that I'm like, this is so beautiful. And it's you want to start noticing those looks. So, for example, there's this look from Sadie Sink, and there's something about this energy that I just think about this look all the time. It's magical to me. I also stumbled on this picture of Anya Taylor-Joy. Something about this red lip and the rest of her vibe and outfit just sings to me, literally sings to me. Like, I just think it's perfection. So start to pin looks like that and start to kind of notice if there's some commonalities, some common words between these inspirational images. And also, if you have images of yourself, selfies from a makeup look you love, start to like curate that too and just kind of think about those commonalities. And then lastly, if you're familiar with any style systems like the Kitchener Essences, which I've explored a lot on my channel, there's also the Kibbe system. And a little bit of a plug here, I'm about to come out with my ethereal aura style system that's all about ethereal styles. So maybe that'll be part of your journey too. It's definitely going to be a part of mine. If you've learned anything from those systems, even just like one tiny thing about yourself, definitely apply that to any words you've discovered for these 5 categories. I've learned a lot from the Kitchener style essences about what I really like on myself, so I'm going to be applying some of those words to these categories. All right. Let's get into the categories. So the first one's physical feeling. I think it is so important with your clothing to think about how it feels on your skin. For example, I love the look of a kind of bulky, slouchy sweater on people. It looks so cozy. And I live in Canada, so I always try and find ways to find some warm, cozy outfits that I'll like. But no matter what, whenever I put on a bulky sweater, I feel like ripping my skin off. Like, for one, wools and even cashmere feels so itchy on me, and like closed up necklines, like I just like want to pull it off. And if I ever wear it out in public, when I get home, I'm like, give me my pajamas, So if there's a physical feeling the clothes give you, like if something is too tight for me, like bodycon, I'm like, I don't like this. Like I need a bit of flow. So start to write your keywords down. For me, I wrote down comfy, lightweight, soft, and airy. I really love when my clothing has that feeling to it because I just feel really comfortable physically. This is very important because you want your clothes to feel comfortable, right? And that doesn't mean it has to be sweatpants, all the time. In fact, sweatpants sometimes feel too bulky for me. So anyway, start to note those physical feelings. Then we're going to look at the energy. That's where some of your mood boards can come in handy. That's where you can start to romanticize things. Even think of movie characters you're inspired by. Really, these adjectives that are evocative. So some of the things I wrote down are ethereal, feminine, relaxed, effortless, dreamy, romantic. Those words just make my heart soar. So I definitely want my style to embody that. Then we're going to think about the actual look of these items. I won't get into all of them, but they'll be written here. I love the look of flowy things, fluttery things, beachy things. I've started to really notice that monochromatic color stories are something I love. So definitely notice the colors. I like open necklines, moderate lengths, a little bit of sparkle. And then we have to talk about practical needs because some people work in nursing, admin work. Some people are in really corporate jobs. So you may have to cater some style elements to your needs. I mostly work from home and I work in style and here on YouTube and a little bit of marketing work. So I'm very lucky in that these are flexible. However, I live in Canada. It is cold so much of the year. So I've had a lot of trouble finding a style that kind of embodies this flowy energy, but also is warm. So I do have to think about the ability to winterize and kind of versions of this style that are really comfy, cozy for home. If I spill a little bit of soup on it, it's okay because I spill things a lot. And then walking styles. I do like to walk a lot. So these things need to be comfy sometimes. I need to have some shoes that'll practically get me from point A to point B. And then layering comfortably under coats. Sometimes it's so bulky. And if I'm trying to put a bulky item in a coat, I want to melt into a puddle and no longer exist because I just get so overstimulated. And then affordability. Like I'm really about this idea of thrifting when you can and trying to prioritize more indie and sustainable brands, but it's not always 100% practical. So kind of finding that balance. And that's why it's all about doing this very slowly and mindfully. Lastly, I think it's great to have a list of don'ts. These are the things that you know when you've tried them, you have not liked the item, even though every time you try it and go back to it, you're like, maybe it'll work this time. Some things I wrote down are bulky, itchy knits. Like, I cannot do these knits anymore. They're not for me. Blacks as a default. Like, I just turn to blacks because they're just so easy to match makeup looks with. Black, 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 black. But I started to get sick of all this black in my wardrobe. So no more black for me. At least I'm going to be mindful about it. And then, for example, I don't really like sharp lines or blazers. So now we've got all our list, and feel free to keep expanding on this list. But what you want to do is start to notice commonalities. Like, what are the big things you're noticing here? For me, I definitely can tell that there's this like need for flow and a little bit of kind of ethereal energy, something comfy, a little bit casual, but also dressy. Now, I'm kind of lucky in that I stumbled on a term that really spoke to me and I feel like is my style archetype that I plan to channel going into my 30s, and that is casual Aphrodite. I just love everything it says. The Aphrodite gives that kind of mythic, poetic feel that I love so much, but then the casual kind of brings this element of what I want from my style in terms of the comfort levels, the kind of flowy lines. And yet Aphrodite has this sensuality to it. So it kind of really balances the best of both worlds. So that's the style archetype I'm going to be going with going forward on this style journey. We're on day 0, so here I am right now with my little character. I guess I'll call her Casual Aphrodite. I basically now have this starting point for which to proceed on the journey. Now, what I want to do is essentially, I'd say like the next year, just very, very, very mindfully start to expand my wardrobe with this archetype in mind and with all these keywords in mind too, and essentially these rules, because sometimes you have to put your shopping, demon in check. We live in a world that's bombarding us with ads all the time of things we want. And, I fall for it a lot. But I think when we can go about this with a lot of intention, we can make sure we're doing this in a way that's sustainable for ourselves and hopefully a little bit more sustainable for the planet as well. And yeah, I'm really excited to just start to invest in my really wardrobe as a kind of reflection of who I am right now in my life. And that's the goal of this whole journey I'm about to embark on. Part of this journey is my ethereal style system that I mentioned that's going to be coming out probably next week, so stay tuned for that. I'm going to be channeling a lot of elements of that because Aphrodite, right? She's got a very mythic, ethereal energy to her. So join me on this journey. I think I'll start to share with you potentially some shopping vlogs. I don't know, we'll see. But I definitely want to revisit here, start to talk a little bit more about wardrobe, especially. If you've been here a while, I focus a lot on makeup. I really feel like I've really come to understand my makeup style, but I've really left my wardrobe to the wayside. There's a lot of old things from my 20s that just aren't serving me anymore. So now's my time that I'm going to start expanding this channel into this really style wardrobe journey. So I hope you might learn something along the way with me. And yeah, I just really want to prioritize this being a really mindful and kind of as well artistic process. Stay tuned for more style discussions as I embark on this journey. It's not going to be fast. It's going to be slow. And of course, stay tuned for my ethereal style guide. All right, that's it for today. Toasty, let's take it away. Toasty, he will not be joining us on this journey because he hates clothes. He has some winter coats. Unfortunately, Canada, cold. He's like me. He hates the feeling of coats. Actually, as a child, I used to scream in my stroller and go, "No coat on! No boots on!" and fling off my coat and boots. not much has changed. I wish I lived on a beach and could be barefoot all the time, but alas, got to pay attention to those practical needs of my wardrobe. And just a quick reminder, I like to mention my Patreon coven that you can join. Link down below where you can help support the channel. There you can have now ad-free versions of my YouTube videos, as well as a couple bonus videos a month, including a makeup ritual for the beginning of every month. So yeah, definitely check it out. And if you want to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, may you all find yourselves a little bit of style magic. And we will see you in the next video. Bye, witches.